Last day of the month already, and it's another sunny day, which is nice. Next month actually might be really busy. I guess we'll see what happens. And with that in mind, what did I read today? When it's a nice day, it's a good time to fly the drone, although according to this story, I don't think this is a good place to fly your drone around airports and so forth. And it sounded like they got really close, like right into it. It says, Broward deputies arrested 2 men over alleged reckless drone operations. 2 men faced felony charges on Thursday for operating a drone recklessly at an airport in Broward County, records show. Inmate records show Broward Sheriff's Office deputies with the aviation unit arrested Tony Wang and Carlos San Luis on Wednesday. Correctional deputies booked Wang, 23, and San Luis, 32, at the Broward County Main Jail in Fort Lauderdale. Wang and San Luis, who don't have a criminal history in Broward, appeared in bond court on Thursday, and a judge ordered them to stay away from flying drones until the case is resolved. And if this is accurate, I don't know what they were thinking. It says prosecutors accused Wang of flying a drone over a terminal on the runway. San Luis was allegedly taking a picture of a food stand and flying low enough to collide with an aircraft, and people's lives were at risk, according to prosecutors. Were they hired to do a job or something? I don't know what would give you the idea to fly a drone right in that scenario. Court records show Wang, who was born in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, and lives in Riverside, California, is facing charges of operating an aircraft in a careless or reckless manner and operating a drone over a critical infrastructure facilities. His bond was $2,650. Court records show San Luis of Pompano Beach faced 1 count of operating an aircraft in a careless or reckless manner. His bond was $2,500. Again, I don't know what they were thinking if all that is true. I would imagine, again, you'd have to have had some kind of job or something like that to fly a drone right in that specific scenario. For example, was it just a case where somebody didn't want to bring out the camera with the gimbal, and so they decided, okay, let's just throw this drone up in the air, for example, 2 meters and capture everything? I guess that's a possibility, but still, what would you think the person's punishment should be in this regards? And in terms of punishment and so forth, and flying places where you shouldn't, how about this one with a twist? What happens if the drone operator is extremely young? This one here says, minor boy flies drone over Rajahmundry Central Prison. Can you imagine that? It says, Raja Mahendravan, one-town police have booked a case after a drone hovered above the Rajahmundry Central Prison in about 8:30 p.m. on July 29th. Earlier, the Central Prison Superintendent had lodged a complaint in this regard. Investigations revealed that the drone had been flown by a minor boy who is studying in Class X and lives near the prison. Further inquiries revealed that the boy's father had gifted his son a small drone on his birthday. Police said the boy climbed up the terrace of his house and started flying the drone. He lost control and it moved towards the Central Prison. The flying of the drone over the Central Prison attracted considerable attention as YSR Congress MP Midin Reddy is under judicial remand in the prison over the last few days after he had been arrested for his alleged involvement in the AP liquor scam. Can you imagine that in this case? I would think anyways it was a quote toy overall, unless it was something a little bit more sophisticated, maybe like the Mini, for example. But what would you think in this case, for example, in terms of a quote punishment, if anything, due to the context of the situation? Flying, for example, a drone over a prison and all that? Should this person be treated any more severely than, let's just say, the previous story? Because in my opinion, anyways, overall, these are incidents and you should just take care of it. But it makes you think in general, how about with other things? I was reading about this, where apparently in Toronto, they want to ban things like motorized watercraft because of a few. This one says, as Toronto aims to ban motorized watercraft at popular beach, some blame, quote, bad actors. Toronto has moved to ban motorized watercraft from one of its busiest beaches by next year due to concerns over unsafe operators and illegal rentals. But one rental company says the city should instead focus on regulations that weed out bad actors in the industry. City Council passed a motion last week requesting that Ports Toronto ban boats and personal watercraft such as jet skis within at least 150 meters of the shoreline at Woodbine Beach in the city's east end by June 2026. The motion also condemns illegal rental business practices at the beach and nearby Ashbridges Bay, such as using and storing watercraft without proper boating permits and operating them unsafely. So how about in this case, would you agree with the direction where because they find, I guess, these guys a nuisance. They say it's a safety issue. They want a ban, I guess, of these, quote, watercraft. Although with the topic that they're talking about constantly here anyways, it's more about the businesses, I guess, renting them out illegally as well, which makes me think, wouldn't you just focus on that instead? Stopping the businesses from actually doing that, which should theoretically get rid of the other problem as well, because if people aren't able to rent them, quote, illegally, then technically it shouldn't happen, correct? But as you can see, the reaction in other industries and stuff too, it's usually, quote, ban them all versus actually trying to deal with whoever it is that's causing the issue in general. And in terms of issues, this was crazy. Imagine going to an amusement park ride, which I would imagine happens a lot during the summer, and the ride completely breaks. This is crazy when I looked at the video. So apparently with this story, on July 30th, there was a mechanical failure at the Green Mountain Park in Taif, Saudi Arabia, and it involved a ride called the 360 Degrees. And it's a pendulum style attraction that swings and rotates riders on a central pole. You've seen a lot of that here too, actually. And during the operation, you can see the pole just snaps mid-air and people just fall. There's something flying from the background. I wasn't sure at first whether or not that's a person or, for example, like a shoe. But apparently 23 people were injured and 3 were in critical condition. But fortunately, nobody actually passed away. Would you ever go on these rides ever again if something like that happened? I remember here, actually, if anyone's local, there's this ride called, for example, the Wild Mouse. It's like this little mini roller coaster per se. It feels so dangerous, like you are actually going to pop out, not in a good way. It feels like it's actually breaking, for example, like the actual tracks and all that. It makes me curious, wondering what the cause was of this incident here. Is it just wear and tear? Was there something that could have been done maintenance-wise and all that? All right, see you guys later.